Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. So, obviously, there is a lot to talk about in this video. You know, I had a video that was ready to go, as I said the other day, and God just pressed upon me not to do that one yet. And then, of course, the events of yesterday happened. And we've all been aware of the fact that something like this was a real possibility. I had said probably in several videos that we knew something was going to happen, that the left were really desperate to hold on to control, and to what extent would they go to hang on to that power. Now, this was a 20-year-old, I'm not even going to say his name because he's not worth it. This 20-year-old that went and attempted this, killing one man, injuring two other men, and obviously wounding President Trump. I can't say that this was that it was a planned event. I can't say that. I don't know. Because the FBI is investigating it, we probably will never know the truth about it. What we do know is that there's a lot of things that are shadowy. It's probably the best way I can describe it. So remember in my last video I had said that Joe Manchin had said, well, we'll wait till after this weekend to see what is decided about Biden. This happens. The shooter actually was in a commercial for BlackRock back in 2023. And if you want to learn more about BlackRock, go back through my videos. I actually did a whole video on that. Now, are these just coincidences? Are these just things that happened and there's no connection between any of it? I'm not going to say no. They very well could be just coincidences, but you guys know how I feel about those. So we'll never know the truth. The FBI is investigating. Well, we know how the FBI feels against Trump. So are we ever going to know the truth? Just like with JFK, probably not. So you have to be really careful what you hear in the media about specific history and points and all of that. And it's really interesting that there happened to be a lapse in judgment for Secret Service not to cover a building that was obviously in direct line. But then, like one meme on Facebook says, you can't have Secret Service and the CIA on the same building. I don't know what to make of this. I know that we were extremely horrified by it. We were, we got back home within our self-proposed 3-hour window when something like this happens. So we got home, and obviously we've been watching everything going on since then. Now Trump is in Milwaukee, and I talked about that in a previous video. Did they know? Did they know? Is that why the National Guard was sent there? I haven't heard of any incidences happening, although, we've been watching the Milwaukee local news, which if you don't know, you can go on, it's called News On, especially if you have a Roku device. You can go to News On and you can type in the search engine Milwaukee, and it will give you Milwaukee local news. And they haven't been talking about anything going on there as far as the extent of the security. But did they know that something like this was going to happen? Or did they just figure that the rioting and the chaos and the peaceful protests were going to be bad? I don't know. I don't know the answer. That's why these videos are hard to do, because we don't know a lot about what's going on. But I will tell you this. As preppers and as obviously, Christian conservative patriots, we were ready to go take up arms against whoever we had to, right? But obviously, when you react rather than respond is when mistakes happen. So we had to sit back and just kind of take in the news and take in what was going on, what actually happened. And in time, we will figure out how to respond to this. We have to let our cooler heads prevail. But we also have to fight. And I don't know what that looks like yet. I have no idea. But I had a couple people that had no idea that this was going on. And I shook my head. Because to be prepared means to be aware. Aware of what's going around around your own property, around in your community, but around the world, nationally and around the world. And if you can't pay attention to even these big events that are being televised all over the place, then you are definitely missing what's going on right outside your front door. And that is going to make you very vulnerable to anything that might be coming. The other thing that scares me about this, and I want to take just a moment to please say prayers for the man that was killed, the firefighter, who died protecting his family, as well as the other two who I guess are now in stable condition but are traumatized nonetheless. And obviously for Trump and his family, that is an image that will live in infamy. But we have to continue the prayers for those families that were impacted, the people that were in the stands that were traumatized by what happened. We really have to make sure that we keep them, all of them, in our prayers. Somebody posted on Facebook today, kind of made me angry. It was basically, I wish people would get upset about third graders as they do an ear. Like that was their actual post. And I had to remind this person that this isn't just an ear. One man was killed, 2 others were critically injured, now in stable condition. And our current Republican nominee, Trump, was also injured. And that why can't we be as equally upset about this as we would be for a school shooting? Okay, we are equally upset. And they chalked it down to just an ear. So that kind of made me mad. And then somebody else in that person's comments said, well, this idiot across the street, they've got their flag flying upside down, blah, blah, blah. So at the end of my response, I said, oh, FYI, an upside down American flag means a nation is in distress. We are. We are a nation in distress. And these are the kind of people that just don't understand. They don't want to know. They'd rather stay with their head in the sand and drink the Kool-Aid instead of really paying attention to what's going on out there. So it does aggravate me. I love the fact that everybody now is talking about, calming the talk down, if you will. Well, where was that back in 2016? Right? Well, actually 2015 when Trump came down the escalator. Where was it then? Where was this call for peace and unity? It wasn't there. And I'm not saying that the Republicans are innocent, but I do firmly believe that the left is far more inflammatory. So it's going to be interesting. You know, Biden is supposed to speak tonight. I think it's 7 o'clock our time, Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. So it'll be interesting to see what he says. But here's what bothers me about all of this. Yes, it was a big deal. Obviously, if we had this kind of media during, you know, President Lincoln's assassination, there'd be 27 coverage of it, 24/7 coverage. But we cannot forget what is going on around the rest of the world. And we need to hear about what's going on around the rest of the world. We need to know how many Chinese nationals came across the border last week. We still need to know this stuff. So if you're not getting it from media, which I'm not hearing anything else other than this, then you got to make sure that you take time to do your research and find out. We haven't heard a thing about Ukraine other than they're probably right now quietly passing a bill to give them another $50 billion. We're not hearing anything else about Israel and Gaza. We're not hearing anything else about China and Taiwan and Iran and North Korea. That's all stopped. But it hasn't. It's still happening. And we need to stay on top of what's going on with all of that. So was this the distraction? Was this a planned distraction? I don't know. I'm not even theorizing right now, so don't lump me in with a tinfoil hat yet. That may come, but not yet. So now we have the RNC, which starts tomorrow in Milwaukee. And there will be chaos. We were given clues of that. Okay? Don't take your eye off the ball. Yes, this was horrifying. It absolutely was. He came within a breath width of being killed. Had he not turned his head, he'd be dead. So we need to pray for all the victims. We need to pray for all the families that were there. We need to pray for Trump and his family. We also need to pray for this world. We need to pray for the United States. We need to pray for our country. And we also need to be courageous enough to stand up when the call is given. So stay safe, stay aware, and God bless.